Hi everyone, this is Fred. So today's video is about the basics of drawing in VectorStyler. It will be focused on illustration, comics, cartoon style. So we will see some of the tools I use, and we'll try to give you some tips about how to use them. So let's go. Okay, so let's start with the most common tool that you can find in every vector drawing software, which is the pen tool. The pen tool allows you to create straight lines and curves. So starting with a straight line, you just use your mouse or your pen, but in my case it's mouse right now, and you just go to the spot where you want to place a new node. When you want to close your path and create a shape, you just go to the starting point and you can see that there is a blue circle visible, which means that it's snapping to the starting point, and you can close your shape. Okay, once you have this shape, you may be willing to change some of its settings, some of the position of the nodes, so you just use the shape editor here. It's a very simple classic. You go to the node, you see it's selected, it's gray, and you can move it the way you want. If you want to erase a node, you can just go to this spot and use your delete key. If you want to create a node, you go at the place you want. You see that there is a little triangle that appears, and once you are at the spot you want, you just double click and it will create a node. Okay, so this is very simple. In some cases, of course, you may be willing to use some square angle because you're doing straight line for technical drawing, so you just use your shift key and it will give you some snapping on the square angles, 90-degree angles. And as you can see, sometimes at that stage you can be a little bit misaligned. So what you do is just you use the shape editor again, you select the two nodes and you go to the alignment tools here on the bar and align vertically or horizontally the nodes you need, and you have your shape. You may also be willing to use some snapping options. There is a lot of snapping options. We're not covering them now, but this is the idea that once you have a snapping option activated, you will see you have more information about where you are going to place and draw your nodes, and in that case you see it gives you the spot and you don't have to align it after. So this is a simple basic way. I now stop the snappings. So the second tool, which is very famous, so is doing the curve with a pen, and the curve, they can have different mathematical calculation, but the most common use is Bezier curve. So you click on your first spot and you keep to press the mouse click, and so you can choose the direction you're going, because what you have is here is a handle, and the handles, they are the tangent of the curve, so you can point to the direction you want to go. In that case I go here, and then I go to my second spot. I keep on pressing and I just can move. You see the two handles, and I can have the size, the shape of the curve I want. So you have a real good control. That's why people like, including me, the vector drawing. And you're doing like this. So keep on pressing and you release when you are the direction you want. When you come to the end, you have your blue circle again. You click, but what may happen is you see the first curve you created is also transformed at the same time. So if you want to avoid this, just press Alt, and in that case, only while you're pressing Alt, only one of your handle is moving, so you have a control. Okay, so you have this shape, so you may be willing to change the shape. Some advice is very simple, is about the direction of the handles. Virtually, they have to, if you want a nice curve, they have to point to the same direction and meet somewhere virtually, but it's better to have them not to cross. You see, if they cross, like this one is here, this one is here, it's better, for instance, to have nice curve like they are going like this. So this is the way they point. Of course, depends on the kind of drawing you want. But if you want to do very smooth curves and something like that, you always have to take care that they are not, you see, crossing somehow. First thing. And second thing, of course, as you can see here, the less node you have, the better control you have, because if you have too much nodes, it will make your shape very complicated. Every time you move a little portion, it will affect a lot of other parts. So if you want smooth curves, you really don't use too much nodes. So same as like we said, you see that we are moving both, and sometimes for some reason you want to move only one of the nodes. Let's say here. So in that case, you select your node and you press L, and in that case you can move freely only one of the handles. In some cases you want to go back to what you had, means you want to have your symmetrical handles. You select your handle and you come to the top here and you change the selected shape node to a symmetric node, and you see that now again you can move it. Okay, so this is the basics. After that, you can be willing for some reason to open or close a shape, or just join some shapes. So I can do random one. This is the first one. I still have my tool activated. I just press command and I click somewhere else, and so I will click another independent curve. And let's say that now I want to have this become only one curve, so I would go close. I will use my shape editor and I will select my two nodes here. Now it's okay. And once I select them, I just go and I click on the join two or more shapes. And like I just said, if you want to have nice curve, don't have too much nodes. Don't put too much nodes. So, and especially if they are too close, so you choose one and you erase it, and now you can have. Okay. And when you want to close the path, you see that this triangle gives you the direction of a path. As you can see here, you can also change it by going to the object shape and reverse path direction. And you see that now it's pointing, the triangle are pointing the other way. So it's something which is very interesting, because right now it's not super interesting, but when we see a little bit later the profile, it can change the shape. And when you draw with a tablet and you like to have a certain style of profile and curve, you can control them a better way. So in that case, and after that, you can just come to your spot and you will use, you can see here, and you can use to close your shape. So you see that this one, you can also totally erase one of the handle and have only a mono handle here. Okay. Okay, so now we can try another tool, which is the pencil tool. So a pencil tool, and in that case, instead of using a mouse, I will use a tablet. I will use a very basic tablet. I have a basic Wacom tablet, which is not a screen one. The reason is, with a pen you can have some very free move in the way you draw with a natural feel, and also you can use the pressure, and the pressure helps you to give a different thickness to the stroke you just draw, depending on how much you press on the tablet. So it gives you something which can be like this. So you can see this shape, this line I just draw here is thinner than here, just because I press less on the tablet on the beginning, and it gives a very natural feel, very close to the brush traditional tool. And if you like to do inking and comic style, is very interesting to have this kind of feature. So the tablet in that case is very powerful. The good thing is, what you just did, even if it's called a pencil, is still vector, which means that with a shape editor I can still move the nodes, but have been automatically created when I was drawing. And so it's very good because you can have like a rough drawing with a very natural feel, and then you can refine everything which is imperfect or whatever. You can just select a node and make it better. So it's quite interesting about that. What you can do also is just ignore at the beginning the pressure. You can have your own draw, and in that case you will use the Alt W up the stroke, and you will give a profile after you draw. So it means you can draw everything like a very basic line, and once all your line are the shape you want, you can just apply the profile, and you see that you have some very nice effects, give you some good possibilities, because of course the profile you can create your own. I just use some of the ready-made one here. If you want to change the profile, obey to the rules of a starting point, ending point of your line, and so if you want to change it, you can just use the Control I to reverse, like we did before, to reverse the direction of a line. So in that case you understand how much important it can be, and in that case you can see it's reversed, so the thin part is here and the thicker part is here. So this is very powerful and it gives really natural feel. So this tool is very interesting. Okay, so now we can go to the next tool, which is the Path Sketch tool. It's quite similar to the pencil tool, and you can see like I can draw some funny shape. Okay, you can see that it's smooth, and also it adjusts to the profile I gave, and like we just said before, you can just change this profile, Control I up, and the profile is different. Okay, so this is interesting. What is interesting in that tool is the closed shape you create. You can modify it by adding or subtracting some of a shape, and using the same tool. So you have to have your shape selected, and then depending on if you start inside the shape or outside the shape, you will add or subtract. So here in that case I start inside the shape, and up I add. I do it again, up. So I start and finish inside. But if I do reverse, I start and finish outside, I extract, I subtract some part. So it's very, very flexible. It's really cool. I really like it actually. So if you have your sketch, you know, underneath, and you have a sketch, and you draw above the sketch and you want something, it's really, really good to have this possibility, this opportunity. So I really like this aspect of a tool. So this tool is interesting to create shapes like this, and it brings us to the different level of how we draw in VectorStyler. I mean, in the layer stack. In the layer stack, by default, is here. You have a different way. You have the draw on top, draw above, draw behind, and draw inside. And by default, you will be on draw on top. Means that you will be on the top of a layer, whatever you want, every time you create some new shape. So it's something like this. Okay, so you see it's on the top of a layer. You can have the draw above, which means that you choose some shape or something, and when you draw, the shape you just created is above the one selected before. Okay, in that case you have a draw behind, would be the reverse, and you have a draw inside. Draw inside works perfectly with the mouse, but sometimes it can be a little bit troublesome with a tablet. The idea is when you draw something and you have selected a shape before, when you draw something it will be clipped inside. Okay, you see, like now I just clipped, this shape is clipped inside because I draw inside. It works perfectly fine with mouse, but sometimes depending on the tablet, sometimes it can be a little bit troublesome. So in that case it's okay, you can do the same thing but using the isolated mode, which means that you just double click in the shape you want to draw inside. Okay, this is the shape, you select it, you double click it, and you see that everything is a little bit shaded like ghosted, and so in that case means you are this and you are in isolated mode, and in that case whatever you draw it will be considered as clipped inside, you see. So it's just a little thing. If you have the draw inside that doesn't work so much because you're using a tablet, because I never had any problem with the mouse, but in case, just go in isolated mode, is the same. You use escape key and you are back, okay? So it means that the shape is clipped inside. So it's quite powerful, and starting with that you can do a lot of things because you can draw whatever you want. And the idea is, in some cases the clipped inside is very, very cool, and some cases not really. It depends on what you want to do. Okay, so let's play a little bit with some kind of character. So I'll create some kind of weird guy. Okay, so this guy, as you can see, he has legs, but he hasn't have any arm yet, so just give him some arms. So like we just say, you start inside and you finish inside, and you create these two arms. So now you want the separation for his pants and for his head, let's say. So easiest way, like I said, you go to the isolation mode and you just draw the part of the pants and the part that separate his head. Okay, so you can escape, you check your clipping group with a clipping path, and so you have the two paths inside. So later we'll change the colors of these elements. So now, starting from that, you can do different things. So you can just use this character and give him some attribute to, let's say, as some kind of blue jean. His global shape would be, I don't know, green, and his head will be, okay, this is his head. So now we have this kind of character, very basic one, but since we have the shape that are clipped, the good point is you can just come back and you can move this shape. Let's say you want the pants to be a little bit higher, and so it's still very very easy to modify. So I just escape, I go back to my clipping group, I just erase the outline. Okay, I will just duplicate, Alt and drag, but also what I can do is unclip the group, so ungroup. And once I've done that, what I will do is I will select everything, and this time I will use the shape builder. Shape builder, you have seen it, I used it in the isometric class about how to make portions of sphere. And in that case it's good because you will have to, you have your three separate parts. Okay, and now you can just pick, you use the color picker, style picker here, and you just pick the style you need, command, and you want to select something, and okay. And so you have something very similar. You have the result is very similar. The difference is you have different portions here, different parts, and so before we said that we can still move, like we want to adjust some of the shape here or there, and it will be done and the overall shape will be changed. But in that case, if you want to do that, you're a little bit stuck because you will have to readjust the two parts that are separated. So this is different, but it can be useful. Like I previously said, if you like to do animation or something like that, you will have to draw the whole silhouette and then you separate every part you need, the arm, forearm. I can still separate the ends if I want, so it's still a good option, but you have to keep in mind that you cannot change the shape inside so easily. So it's just two ways of doing something that looks very similar, but the structure actually is different. Okay, so we say bye-bye to the guys. I'm just talking a little bit more about the tool, the line tool we saw before. So I was mentioning the profile, so I use Alt W, and you remember that we have profile that we can choose. And of course you give some thickness so it's more visible in that case. Okay, so this is a way. You can have all the settings of your profile, you can change everything you want, so it's very, you have a very big level of control. It's a powerful tool. And you can also use some other tools, a little bit more natural, this tool you can have them here. So it's the first one is a stroke width tool, which helps you to, you see, you select and then you have two handles and you change these handles and you change the thickness gradually. Okay, so this is interesting because you can do it after you have done the first, and it creates a new profile in that case, so you can just go back to the basic one. Okay, so this is the first one. The second one is the stroke with brush. The system is the same, it's just like you see, the more you draw with your brush, and the thicker is the portion you draw on. I'm a little bit slow on this, but you have this idea. Okay, so this is something you can just, and you, of course, we still always make Ctrl Y. We're still always in vector. So every cartoon comics guy who likes to draw in vector can really appreciate these tools. And so, of course, you have also some other tools, stroke, smush. You see, is all the area that I covered which change. And it makes the things more regular, especially, for instance, here it's not super regular, up it becomes more regular. Okay, it gives more unity. And the last one, just erase the effect. You see, up everywhere I put my effect before. Okay, so these guys are quite useful. There is another tool I didn't mention before, which is also interesting. I like it, but it's the tool of path brush tool, which is similar if you know the blob pencil on Adobe Illustrator. It's the same system. You see, I just draw and actually it creates the silhouette, the shape around, which is really cool. Because if you do the same kind of drawing with using like the pencil, you see that you have a lot of lines, but you don't have this kind of block. So for a very simple blocky shape, very cartoony, you want to make trees, you want to make clouds, things like this, it's really cool. It goes very fast, and as you can see my arrow pointer moving very fast because I have the tablet, so it's very smooth also. So it's a complement tool. I think you cannot draw everything with it, but in some portions of illustration work you do, it may be quite useful. Okay, so just a quick example of something I've done before. Just starting point is always for me some sketches, so it's pencil sketch, and then I separate. You see now the boots and some of the effects, and separate on different layer, different parts. Now I have the body, the head, and the arms. Okay, and switch up reference. So you see, in that case, I can use different thickness in the line, different profiles, and of course I can modify them. We just saw the variety of possibility to do that, different ways to do that. And so after that, once you get smooth and you get used to it, I'm not super smooth yet, but once you get used to it, I think you can have some very nice results. And we keep in mind that everything what we are doing here is still vector. You see, so what you see is VectorStyler. So I think the drawing tools, some other people, I hope they will do some tutorials about it, because on the forum we have some talented people who do very interesting things. So I think for beginners it can be a good start, and even if you use some other software, some of the features are the same. So I hope you enjoy it, and see you soon. Bye bye.